Alright guys, how's it going? This is Bill from Vision Motorworks. I got a new project today. This one is going to be a pretty extensive project. This is an old, probably early 2000s Shovelhead chopper, you know, the early 2000s chopper. You know, it's got a pretty big back tire, long front end. We're going to be taking this whole thing apart and fully redoing the whole thing. It's going to, I may have to modify the frame a little bit, but for the most part, the frame's going to stay the same. I'm going to tweak a little bit of things because it's not a very aesthetically pleasing, you know, front end frame. So this is going to be basically a full coach built aluminum bodied bike. Like, I'm going to do the whole rear end is all going to be nice aluminum panels. The whole gas tank's going to be aluminum. All the bodywork's going to be aluminum. Yeah, it's going to be probably mostly all raw aluminum too. I'm not going to paint it or anything like that. I may paint the frame, but that's going to be about it. It should be a pretty cool build. Today I'm going to go through and I'm going to get everything pulled apart on it, get the front end off, get the gas tank, all the crappy stuff off from it, basically, the oil tank. Basically just get it down to the motor, transmission, rear wheel, frame, and that's about it. I'm going to take, you know, the pipes off, all that stuff's going to get redone. But yeah, this is going to be a full, you know, pretty extensive build. I'm going to build a wire buck for the whole rear end. To do the aluminum with. I got 3/16 inch steel to be able to do that. So yeah, I'm gonna bring you guys along for the ride. This should be a pretty cool build. Yeah, so all right, let's get to it. Let's get to pulling it apart. All right, let's go. So now that we got all the crap off from it, it looks much better. With that long front end, it was kind of tilted up. Now I got it 4 inches to the frame, to the ground, basically. It's got a much better look to it. I think it's going to work out good. I was thinking I might have to change the rake on the angle, but I think it's going to be fine. I may go with, it's got a nice 21 inch tire that came with it, so it might work. If not, I may have to go with the 23, but I'm going to build a scratch built girder front end for it anyway, so it, you know, I'll be able to, I think I should be able to do it without changing the rake on it. I'm going to take all this stuff out, put all new different gussets in it, because this is like, you know, like I said, it's early 2000s crap, basically. I mean, it's okay, but it's nothing great. But other than that, I mean, all the motor's good, transmission's good. It ran and drove beautifully when I bought it. So I'll take the top end off, probably redo all the gaskets, stuff like that. Same with the transmission. Check it all out. Probably new covers on everything, but yeah. So now pretty much I'm going to go through, I'm going to cut off all the mounts for everything, because we're not going to use any of that. We're going to make our own mounts for everything. So but what I want to do is I want to get started laying out the rear portion of this, basically, because it's going to be kind of like a tail dragger. It's going to have a really big swooping rear fender, and then possibly like some thin bags that swoop with it, basically. Might not hold much more than like a 6-pack on each side, but hey, it's fine. But it'll look really cool. I got some really cool ideas for it, so I think it'll be all right. But yeah, so I just got a piece of wood up here for right now, just to kind of trace out my layout on how I want the rear fender to swoop back. So I'm going to go ahead and get that marked out, and then I got some 3/16 round steel rod, so I'll get that all bent up and I'll start working on the actual buck, basically. But yeah, all right, let's get started. All right. So I got the wood all kind of laid out here. I know I'm going to be 4 inches off the ground with it. And then I'm figuring I'm going to probably go about 12 inches past the rear tire. And that'll give it a really nice shape. So I'm just going to kind of loosely go through this here. It doesn't need to be super perfect. I'll make it perfect over there. But I'm just going to kind of do a that shape. So now what we'll do is I'll pull that and then we'll grab some of the 3/16 rod and start laying it out. So basically this will be my middle piece. I'll figure out my width on the rear and that's how wide apart it will be, and then my arc up from here to the top piece will be dictated on how wide it is. So I'll make that nice arc coming down here. You'll see once we actually start bending up the 3/16 stuff. But yeah, all right. I'll pull that off and we'll go over to the bench and I'll start like bending to this form and we'll come back and take a look at it. All right, let's get it. So I got it over here on the bench. Basically what we're using is just this round rod here. Like I said, it's 3/16, very easy to bend by hand. You don't need any special tools or nothing like that to do it. I'm just going to cut this down to length real quick here. Just so it's not so big. So yeah, you just like I said, you can generally get it to bend pretty easy just by hand. If you don't put any hard bends in it with your hand, it'll have a nice radius to it. Another option is you can use the tire and bend against that. Like I said, this stuff's pretty easy. It doesn't have to be perfect. Stuff's pretty easy to modify later too, and it's cheap. So if you go to Tractor Supply and get this, they'll charge you probably $5 for a 4-foot section. Now if you order it through a metal place, I got 12-foot sections for $3 a piece. So it's very cheap. If you mess up, it's easy to just bend another one. You know, I mean, I bought 15 12-footers and it cost me like $80. So I'll have some for later. Yeah. See, it's basically the shape it's going to be. Cut this side. That's where that's going to be. And you can cut this off with a whatever you want. I'm just using. I happen to have a abrasive saw right next to the bench here, so I'm just using that. Check it on the bike and make sure it looks good and come back from there. Alright, that's good. Okay. Now if you go back on the bike, put it basically right down the middle. I don't know if you can see that on camera, but that's about right where we want it. Comes out to about here, so it's going to be a very long tail, which I like. I think it'll look good. Especially all out of aluminum, I think it's going to be a really good look. Alright, so now from here what you do, or what I'm going to do, is I'm going to measure my width of where it's basically going to sit, right? Where this is going to start curving up to this piece. So I'll get that measurement, I'll transfer it onto the board, and then I'll use my length on this and we'll get a side view and a top view, right? Well, we already got the side view, so we'll get a top view and a back looking forward view. That way we can get our curves there. Our top view gets us our width. Our back view gets us the curve up to the fender itself. You know, so it'll be out here, you know. But yeah, we get that, lay all that out on the board, and basically keep going from there. Just start making, you know, small sections to connect everything. Make your section here where it comes out. And that's it. All right, I'm gonna go back to the table and let's get started. All right. So basically what I've done here is I've made half of a top view of my rear fender. So I know I'm 11 inches in between my total width of that fender without the bags is 11 inches. So I just marked off half. I kind of made, you know, just by eye, I took a piece of, I just took a piece of aluminum I had and just kind of figured out the shape I want, kind of held it into place and marked it off. So pretty easy. You can make it whatever you want. But since it's going to be symmetrical on both sides, I only had to do half of it. Now, if it was going to be different on both sides, you'd have to definitely kind of figure that out. But for the most part, it's, you know, you'll have to figure it out, you know, what your sides are. But yeah, so you just put the piece on and then you start bending it by hand. And then what you'll have is you'll take your top piece right there, and where that sits, you'll basically line it up right on the center part of your piece, and you'll start welding it together, and you'll start making like a 3D cage, basically. Basically all you're looking for is a cage. Just something you can start forming your metal to. And that's pretty much it. I'll pull these apart, I'll get this cut off, and then I'll start actually tacking this stuff together. Yep, and that's it. Alright, so I got both sides laid out. I made a little center section here just to kind of join them together. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to tack them together. I'm going to tack them right on the wood. I think it should be fun. We'll see what happens. We'll see if it'll tack. Doesn't need a lot, just enough to tack it into place, kind of. Make sure it kind of stays close to in place. Put some gloves on. Essentially our front section will get tacked in like that, but I think I'm going to wait until we're on the motorcycle to do that. That way I can at least have it kind of tacked into place. Alright, so let's move over to the motorcycle. We'll probably use the MIG welder on this. Much easier just to zap it into place. Alright. So I start tacking it all into place. As you can see, it doesn't take too much. Like I said, I did that bottom piece. The top piece I tacked in the bottom pieces on bottom underneath, and then I just started making splines up to it in between the tire. That way it has some space and everything. But that's pretty much it. I mean, I'm just gonna keep going through, reinforcing this as much as possible. You know, I'm just attaching it straight to the frame. It's not gonna hurt nothing. I'm going to actually form it. I'm going to leave it on here. I'll form all my panels and then I'll pull the whole thing off. But yeah, so that's probably about it for today. Like I said, I'll come back and I'll start reinforcing this more. But yeah, on the next video, I'll be starting to work into the seat area. Probably underneath where the oil tank's gonna go and all that stuff, and then we'll start working into the gas tank. But I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna get it all wire formed out first, and then once it's all fully wire formed out and ready to go, then I'll start making panels for everything. But yeah, like I said, until next time, if you're into this kind of stuff, it's gonna be a really cool build. Like, subscribe, you know. That way I can keep doing this stuff. But yeah, it's gonna be cool. All right, till next time.